Hello and welcome. I'm Sima Katauka and you're watching World Report on News X World. Let's take a look at the top headlines of this hour. According to Russian officials, Ukraine has launched at least 75 drones into Russia on Thursday, killing one person in Volgograd and igniting a fire near a major refinery. The attack has disrupted dozens of flights across Russia as Kyiv continues targeting oil infrastructure to weaken Moscow's economy amid reported Russian advances in eastern Ukraine. The Israeli military says Hamas has given the Red Cross remains believed to be of a deceased hostage. As part of the U.S. brokered ceasefire, if confirmed, it would leave 6 hostages remain still in Gaza after earlier returns of 21 bodies so far. Lebanon's Hezbollah says it has a legitimate right to resist Israeli occupation and will support the National Army. The group added that while it respects the ceasefire, it is not obliged to join political talks with Israel after recent border clashes. China's trade negotiator Li Chenggang has called on Washington to create a favorable atmosphere for agricultural cooperation, blaming U.S. tariffs for disrupting trade. The appeal follows Xi and Trump's meeting where Beijing pledged more U.S. imports. Pyongyang has condemned the Trump administration's new sanctions over cybercrimes funding its nuclear program, calling U.S. actions wicked hostility. Washington says North Korean hackers have stolen over $3 billion in digital assets to finance weapons development. The U.S. will reduce flight capacity by 10% in 40 major air traffic areas from Friday as the government shut down strains staffing transportation. Secretary Sean Duffy has warned of widespread disruption as the FAA struggles to maintain operations. At least 140 people are dead and 127 people missing after Typhoon Kalmaegi triggered catastrophic flooding across central Philippines. Officials say the storm is now moving towards Vietnam as rescue teams struggle to reach cut-off areas. Satellite images indicate mass burial sites in El Fasher as armed clashes escalate in Darfur's Kordofan region, according to human rights groups. Amnesty International urges the protection of civilians as violence surges. Now we start in the Middle East. The United States is preparing to establish a military presence at an airbase in Syria's capital, Damascus, to monitor a potential security pact between Syria and Israel, as per the sources. The base sits near parts of southern Syria, expected to form a demilitarized zone under the non-aggression deal, which is being mediated by U.S. President Donald Trump's administration. This comes as Trump is set to meet with Syrian President Ahmad al-Shara at the White House on upcoming Monday, the first visit by a Syrian head of state. According to reports, the United States seeks to enhance its military presence in the region following developments in Lebanon and Israel. The move comes as Syria is expected to join the U.S.-led global anti-ISIS coalition and talks on the Israel-Syria pact that continue with pressure on Syria to finalize the deal before the end of this year. Now for this discussion, we welcome Matti Zwaik. He's a geopolitical expert, joins us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you very much, Matti, for joining us again. Good to see you. Matti,
thank you, Suma.
Thank you. Matti, can you tell us the importance or strategic importance of the geographical location of Syria in this particular context?
Well, there is a big importance of all of it. I mean, everything that has been achieved since the fall of Assad is to have potential new Syria. So far, it's only part achieved because the central government, it's the remains of extremist groups like Al-Qaeda or ISIS even, and with all kinds of jihadists. So it's a bit of a paradox that now the U.S. is going to do a deal with them to ensure the security in the southern part of Syria. From the other side, it's better than nothing. I mean, they have been trying to commit some atrocities against minorities. Then they say there were some people that they are rebels and they are not themselves. But anyway, something is going on. If Israel achieved a kind of security in their northern part, having even the Druze community from the south of Syria as the kind of allies, helping them like in a buffer security zone between them and Damascus, and now this is going to be added to a kind of deal that is going to be reached. By the way, the place of the proposed base is being organized by 2 Americans and 1 Syrian from the central government. So things are getting pretty serious, and let's see what the future is going to bring. Because if the Syrians are going to use this deal to attack the south or to attack the Druze, or to do things that they are not part of the agreement, probably Israel will react to this. But of course, Israel themselves, they say that they are not going to stay where they are now with their forces until the Sueda city even forever. And they want to reach a deal for the future. So by now, it's a win-win situation for everybody if all parts are going to behave.
And Maddie, you have already mentioned the benefits. Can you tell us what are the risks or potential risks for Israel in joining a US-led anti-ISIS coalition while negotiating a non-aggression pact with other Arab countries?
No, the non-aggression pact is going to be between the US and the central Syrian government. Israel is going to be a part of it to look at it as they implement this. But the situation in Syria is not stable at all. I mean, they didn't reach all borders that they had before 2011 civil war. There are a lot of focus of not stabilized area, like in the Kurds, in the northeast, and also in that area still, and also with the Alawites and a lot of things. So, I mean, if they are going to be forced, I mean, the central government in Syria, they are going to feel forced to cooperate in order to get all the money they are waiting for from lifting the sanctions and all the force to starting really rebuilding Syria with a lot of promise, the money from Saudi Arabia too. So, as I say, it's going to be a win-win. But the main thing is how to change the mindset of the central government that, as we said, they come from a very problematic background. I mean, they are talking about non-aggressive pact to fight ISIS when they themselves, they were part of ISIS.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Maddie Zweig, for sharing that. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion as well. Now, we stay in the region. Israel has confirmed carrying out an airstrike on southern Lebanon, saying that it targeted members of Hezbollah's construction unit near the city of Tyre. According to the Israeli military, the operators were struck while gathered at a Hezbollah facility allegedly used to produce equipment for rebuilding the group's terror infrastructure. The IDF has also stated that those activities violated the ongoing ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hezbollah. Tensions along the Israel-Lebanon border have remained high in recent weeks, despite international efforts to maintain calm following months of cross-border exchanges. Now we welcome back Matti Zweig. He's the geopolitical expert, joins us live from Tel Aviv. Thank you very much, Matti, for staying with us. Now, how do repeated ceasefire violations affect the prospects for long-term peace and reconstruction, particularly in southern Lebanon, and also looking at its efforts to disarm Hezbollah before next year? Do you think it's still feasible? Why do you think that Hezbollah is capable of rearming after many strikes of them and their critical infrastructures and also their losses of leaders?
Well, that's true. I mean, they have been weakened. but they continue to try to do something after they were so weakened. And also the agreement says that mainly they cannot have any presence south of the river Litani. It means all the South Lebanon. And Israel is putting a finger on it that they are not fulfilling the agreement, especially in south of the river Litani. So they must respond, because the central government from Beirut and their legitimate Lebanese forces are seizing weapons, are seizing places from Hezbollah, but not enough, and not in every place. So Israel is afraid that after 1 year, if they continue trying to rebuild themselves, it means that they don't have good intentions to fulfill the agreement. So sometimes they are bombing or stopping terrorists from rebuilding their capabilities in the south. In this bombardment was especially in Tyre, which is a city, so it's not very common, but Israel saw that they are doing a factory, that they are not just an innocent metal factory, but they were trying to build weapons. And not only in Tyre, they were also targeting Tura, Ma'arake, Alabasiyeh, other places. They don't just shoot, they are shooting on places that the Hezbollah are trying to rebuild themselves against the agreement. So that's what happened until now.
So how do you think, how is the stability of the current ceasefire deal in Lebanon, with also including Hezbollah and Israel?
Well, more than the problem between Israel and Hezbollah, because it's very clear the lines between them. One is trying to rebuild themselves, the other one is responding to the breach of the agreement. The big problem here is the relationship between the central government in Beirut and Hezbollah. They are saying that they are doing all kinds of efforts to take care of every area and to be part of the sovereign Lebanon with the sovereign forces of Beirut. But until now, this is not enough. And the forces of the UNIFIL stayed there, despite that also Israel and also the United States, they wanted them out of there, like they were not really helping to the peace effort. But then finally they reached a deal that they stayed there, but they are not changing their ways. They are not really helping sides to fulfill the agreements. So the main thing that has to change is the way that the central government in Beirut is behaving towards Hezbollah, and if they are going to be harsher with them, which is politically not very likely, because they are still in the government, they have 4 ministers, and they are using their force for not letting completely the central government to fulfill what they have to do.
And how do you analyze what should be done of Lebanon's central government so that they become strong enough to protect their sovereignty from Hezbollah?
Well, they did a lot of progress, but they did a lot of progress mainly because Israel made Hezbollah much weaker. And in this way, they were saying things that they didn't say in the past, that they must give their weapons, they must seize all their arsenals and all their places, the warehouses, the factories and everything. But they are trying to do their best, I mean, Hezbollah, to keep part of it. And until they don't say, because in a lot of articles you can see, in a lot of TV presenters from Hezbollah, they say, we are the only force that can stand still against the enemy. I mean, like they have the right to be a parallel force inside a sovereign country, or like they have the right to continue sending missiles and rockets into Israel's civil population. And they have not this right, not from the Israeli point of view, also from the UN point of view. So, in the same as in Gaza, until Hamas is not going to be dismantled, it's not going to be a real peace. The same in Lebanon. until Hezbollah is not going to be dismantled, is not going to be a real peace, or at least they are going to be a threat to the future.
With that, I would like to thank our guest, Matti Zweig, for joining us and sharing that insight as a geopolitical expert from Tel Aviv. Thank you very much. Now we move on to Europe. Georgia's prosecutor-general has opened a criminal case against former President Mikhail Saakashvili and 7 opposition leaders. The case alleges sabotage, support for hostile foreign activities, and financing actions against the constitutional order. Additionally, authorities say that he said opposition's leaders are also discussing accused of calling for the violent overthrow of Georgia's current government. However, as per the latest report, court applications will soon be made to impose bail measures on 2 of the party leaders that include Mamuka Khazaradze and Badri Japaradze. The investigation is now ongoing, with preliminary hearings for the other defendants also scheduled according to a set legal timeline. Now we move on to Poland. Poland has announced a new military training program this month as part of a broader plan to train around 400,000 people in 2026. Poland now spends more of its GDP on defense than any other NATO member. Now it has grown into the alliance's 3rd largest military with 216,000 personnel and plans to expand its forces by nearly a third over the next decade. According to the defense minister Władysław Kosiniak-Kamysz, it will be the largest defense training in Polish history, and the program at readiness will be voluntarily and open to all citizens from school children to working adults, companies, and seniors. The program will offer a basic security course, survival training, medical instruction, and cyber hygiene classes. The program was first announced by Prime Minister Donald Tusk in March this year to build an army of reservists amid heightened security concerns following Russia and Ukraine's war. Now for this discussion, we welcome Dr. Satoru Nagao. He's a fellow at Hudson Institute, joins us live from Tokyo, Japan. Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us again. Good to see you. Doctor, what are we to make of this Poland's readiness? Are they anticipating joining the Ukraine-Russia war, or maybe Third World War, as we see very serious stand in their stance for preparation of war?
Serious, but preparation means that under the current condition, it could be the Cold War style, not Hot War style. But the lesson learned, what happened in Ukraine is when the Russia invade, there is a possibility, if the Ukraine's defense is not enough, Russia can occupy the Ukraine a very short period, or some days or something could happen in the flat terrain like Europe. So flat means that the tank can move very swiftly. So in case of Poland, Poland is worrying the situation. Even if they belong to the NATO, if the Russia start to invade to the Poland before the reinforcement from other country come to the Poland, Russia occupies Poland, that kind of situation is nightmare. Poland is expecting and preparing to avoid such kind of situation. In the 2020, when we checked how many armed forces Poland has, members are indeed 120,000. So now they talk about 400,000, means that nearly 4 times bigger. This is very big indeed. And currently, the President Trump, the Trump administration asked the European NATO allies to spend 5% of GDP for defense. But in case of the Poland, Poland has already reached 4.7% this year, and the next year it will be the 4.8%, so it nearly reached 5%. So that's why the Poland believe this is a very important thing, and seriously they conducted building up their defense. because of the Russia's aggression to Ukraine, because of the flat terrain the Poland is facing, and because of the location just side of Russia, the Belarus, so that's why they really improving their military capabilities.
As you also mentioned, this is a very big move, and how might Poland's large-scale this military training program, do you think it could reshape its role and influence within NATO? As you also mentioned that it's going to be reaching the highest in terms of defense spending as well.
Of course, in the military field, in the decision making, Poland's the influence will be big if the Poland's military is bigger than the other country. Because for a long time, the NATO countries cooperate each other, but at the same time, how much role they can take rely on their military power. So that's why British, France, Germany, these countries' military power is far bigger than the other country. That's why in the decision making, their influence is big. Of course, the United States is the biggest and of course most influential. So that's why in case of the Poland is relatively smaller influence. But when the Iraqi war has happened in 2003, many countries oppose the U.S. move, but Eastern European countries support the United States, and Poland send the troops Iraq. So at that time, indeed, Poland has emerging as an influential country from the Eastern Europe, not Western Europe. So that has indeed already started. Now, also Poland is located in the Eastern Europe, facing Russia, and Russia's threat is emerging. Many small countries worry about Russia. In this case, Poland is leading country in the Eastern Europe, and strong military, if Poland possesses, in this case, Poland's influence towards the voice of this country, representative of the voice of this country could be happen if the Poland's military is stronger than other countries.
And do you think that this expansion could prompt similar defense initiatives among other European Union or NATO members?
It has already happened. Finland already possesses a relatively strong military. Baltic state, of course, increasing defense budget, and Eastern Europe, like Hungary or Czech, Romania, Bulgaria, Turkey, all of these countries try to increase their defense budget. That's why President Trump asked NATO countries to increase the defense budget 5%. They already promised, because they will raise the defense budget already. And so that's why how serious the Russian threat is. This country, of course, feeling the strong threat from Russia's invasion to Ukraine. But in this case, their military, indeed, for a long time, these countries forgot about the security, so underestimate the situation. But once Russia invade Ukraine has happened, that is a big shock for them, and really serious they're thinking. And so that's why they increase the budget. So Poland is not the only country to increase their defense budget. And in this case, of course, Russia also increase their defense budget. But anyway, Russia is spending the military power in Ukraine. So that's why in this case, NATO can catch up during Russia is spending the military assets in Ukraine.
And do you think that Poland, do you think there is any history that the fact that Poland lost and the Nazi Germany conquered over Poland back into Second World War? Do you think they are connecting this history to this move now?
Okay, we should not forget one fact. When World War II started and Germany invaded Poland, that time Soviet Union also invaded Poland from the east. So that's why, view from Poland, both Germany and Russia invade Soviet Union that time, invade Poland. So this historical fact is a very important lesson. But that time, Poland's military was weak. Because one example is when the German tank invade Poland, cavalry charge of the Poland army has conducted. Cavalry charge is too obsolete even 18 years ago. So, but because their military hasn't modernized well, so that kind of situation has really happened. Cavalry charge with spear against the tank. So that's why currently Poland needs to modernize their military to deal with the latest modernized army of Russia. So that is needed. And so now Poland is buying many weapons from US, South Korea, other countries. That is happening because latest weapon and strong weapon number is enough and tactics is sophisticated enough. All of these are needed because of this historical fact. Indeed, Poland faces many threats in the history.
Right. With that, I would like to thank Dr. Satoru Nagao for joining us as a fellow from Hudson Institute all the way from Japan and sharing that insight. Thank you very much. Now we move on. Thank you. Now we move on to Asia. Authorities in South Korea fear 5 people remain trapped after a large structure collapsed at a power station in Ulsan. 4 workers have been pulled from the rubble, with 2 rescued quickly and 2 others later extracted, according to fire official Kim Jong-sik. Footage from the scene shows a massive steel structure mangled and toppled, surrounded by similar facilities. The incident occurred while workers were taking down parts of a decommissioned heating facility in the preparation for demolition in about 10 days. Rescue operations are still ongoing as authorities work to locate and safely extract the trapped individuals. This is what Ulsan Fire Station official has said.
20년도에 준공을 한 그런 타워가 되겠습니다. 그리고 그 21년도부터 그 사용 중지를 한 시설입니다. 저 내용 중에 이제 그 말씀드리겠습니다. 그 화력 발전소 보일러 타워 철거 작업 중에 발생한 총 그 9명입니다. 9명이고 그 2사람은 지금 병원으로 이송을 했습니다. 그래 7명이 지금 뭐 고립 및 매몰이 되어 있는 상태인데 지금 조금 전에 2사람을 그 발견을 한 걸로 지금.
That's all we have time for. Keep watching News 6 World for more news updates from around the world.